Do you know that even having 15 times less revenue, SpaceX is more valuable than Boeing and Lockheed Martin combined? Yes. At a $180 billion valuation, it would be the 68th largest company in the world, bigger than General Electric, American Express, or IBM. And all of this competing in the rocket market, that is way smaller than it seems. It generates less than $10 billion of revenue per year globally. But this is not enough, not if they aspire to make life multiplanetary, if they want to build the first city on Mars and expand human consciousness, which may look like a crazy idea or an amazing prospect, depending on your beliefs, but in either case seems something profitable. They would need a huge amount of money just to try it, even more if they want to make it. So where is this money going to come from? Because even considering the money printing machine that they have with Starlink, all the Falcon launches, and the new Starship rocket, the numbers are not there if they want to send humans to the red planet. This is an endeavor that would take many decades and much more money than they currently have, so who are they going to finance this? Not even Elon, selling all his Tesla and Twitter stock, could do it by himself. We are talking about trillions of dollars of total investment, and SpaceX last year only generated around $9 billion in revenue and just a few millions in profits. If they want to make their dreams a reality and build the first city on Mars, they will need much more money and to be even bigger. So who the hell are they going to make it? Let's see it. If we want to understand the future steps in SpaceX history, we need to take a small look at its past first, and see who they solved the money issues before. Everything started on a remote island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, where a small group of great engineers launched the first private rocket into orbit. But the joy didn't last long. Although they won a $1 billion contract from NASA that saved the company, and they also had a solid business with a clear purpose, the little Falcon 1 rocket was too small for what they needed. So after just 2 successful launches, they had to move to the next step in their process. And this is something that would happen many more times in the future of SpaceX. They quickly developed the best technology in the sector, just to be outdated by their own ambitions a few years later. The Falcon 1 paved the way for the Falcon 9, which quickly became the workhorse of the company, but even this bigger rocket would eventually be too small for the gigantic ambitions, and that's where we are right now. SpaceX has developed the most reliable rocket in history. With more than 300 launches, it's probably the best rocket that the world has ever seen, because it's not only cheap and simple, but also the only rocket that is partially reusable, and that is able to launch 17 tons to orbit 12 times per month, a pace that was just in science fiction stories a few years back. But as is typical with this company, this rocket is already too small for the current plans. If they want to start sending people to Mars, they won't be able to make it with the Falcon 9, not even the Falcon Heavy. They will need something bigger. But that doesn't mean that the Falcon 9 hasn't been an important piece in the Mars ambitions. In fact, without it, everything else would not exist. It allowed them to start the Starlink constellation, which is the most important part to finance the Mars missions, so let's have a look at the revenue generated by the Falcon 9. With the current version of the rocket and the satellites, they are sending 23 version 2 satellites per launch, and each launch costs about $15 million. The satellites should cost around $500,000 each, so this puts the total cost per mission at around $27 million. But is that a lot or not? It depends on the revenue that they can generate from these 23 satellites over their lifetime, so let's have a look at that. They have 2 different types of operational satellites right now, 3400 old B1 and 1800 new B2, which are 4 times more capable. So in total they have the equivalent of 2700 B2 satellites, and these provide internet to 2.7 million people, so around 1000 people per satellite. That would be 1.2 million per year of revenue generated by each satellite. They send 23 each launch, and they have a lifetime of 5 years, so that makes $138 million of revenue for each launch that cost around $27 million in total, an 80% profit margin. Not bad. We would need to add other costs like the ground stations and many more, but this is already a very profitable business. With today's pace of 2,000 satellites per year, that would allow them to have over 10 million users generating $12 billion of revenue. So the Falcon 9 is not enough to send people to Mars, but maybe it's good enough to pay for the mission? Not quite. We for sure could do a lot of science and send a few more rovers with that amount, but you cannot send millions of tons of material for that money. You need something bigger and more cost effective like Starship, and a better business model if you want to generate enough money to pay for all of this. So what is the genius business plan? If we do the same calculations but considering the new Starship rocket and the next generation Starlink satellites, we get that they will send the equivalent of 150 Starlink B2 satellites in each launch. The launch cost for Starship could get as low as 10 million, as it should be fully reusable. That makes around 70 million per launch, that should generate 900 million of revenue over the 5 years of lifetime. That is way better than what we have now, more than a 90% profit margin, but the important part is that if everything works as it should, they will be able to launch multiple times per day, so the amount of money that they will be able to generate with Starlink will be limited by the demand of it, not by their launch capacity as it is right now. And considering that the total market of satellite internet is around $1 trillion, eventually they will have to spend much more money on advertisement if they want to grow as much as possible. So that's it? Could this pay for the Mars City? Maybe. To put things into perspective, the NASA budget is around $25 billion per year, which needs to cover for a lot of things and a lot of inefficient spending. But a similar amount should be enough to build a Mars City based on the SpaceX numbers. Elon says that they would need around 1 million tons to the surface of the red planet, which would require 5 times that amount to lower Earth orbit as you need a lot of propellant to send it across the solar system. Supposing that Starship can eventually send 100 tons to orbit for 10 million, that puts the price at 100,000 per ton, so they would need around $500 billion for that, which could be done in 20 years if they had a similar budget as NASA. We can round it up to $1 trillion, as there would be a lot of new technology to develop and a lot of issues to solve. Then the question is if they could get that amount of money during the next 2 or 3 decades in order to build a self-sustainable city. And here is where the interesting part starts. With the Starlink profits we just saw, it looks like it could be possible. With the Falcon 9 only, they could generate around $10 billion of profit per year, and with Starship it could get to 20 or 30. But this is only true as long as they are the only ones offering these services. Once Amazon or other providers start selling the same, the prices and profit margins will go down and SpaceX won't be able to generate that much money. So they not only need to keep doing this, but to maintain their advantage over the rest of competitors and to keep innovating and offering new products. Luckily, there is no one rivaling SpaceX in a significant way. Blue Origin is as low as it can be, and it will be a long time until they can get close to what SpaceX does today. ULA is being sold, and although they have a good rocket, it's outdated even comparing it to the Falcon 9. Boeing, Lockheed, and the rest of the typical US contractors are a machine of inefficient spending and the best at wasting taxpayer money, so they are neither here nor there. And finally, Rocket Lab and the rest of small rocket launchers are playing a different game, so even if they succeed, they will be far away from where SpaceX is. So it looks like SpaceX not only has some advantage, but if they keep working as they have, they will keep this advantage over many years and they will be able to maintain their extraordinary profits. And that is the real strategy of SpaceX. The real plan to accomplish all their Mars ambitions is not what they have done until now. It's the fact that they are the best and they keep improving faster and better than anybody else. It's the fact that in the same way they build Starlink to take advantage of their Falcon 9 rocket, they will keep innovating and finding new ways to generate money. In 10 years from now, the biggest part of their business could perfectly be to sell propellant in orbit to all other rockets that need to send things to the outer solar system. They have already built new business models from scratch leveraging their amazing technology, and they will be able to do it again and again. So, until someone else has the money, the people, and the ambition that Elon Musk has, SpaceX will continue to be a few steps ahead of all their competitors, and they will be able to generate a huge amount of cash that they will spend on their gigantic ambitions. That's how they will pay for the Mars City, by being way ahead of everyone else and keep pushing way harder than anybody else. The only question remaining is how far will they be able to get in our lifetime, and how much more we will need to wait to chase our dreams. As always, take care and learn more.